tension in the palace grew unbearable for Marilla. She could no longer stand to be around Selena's cruel words and the growing coldness from her father. One night, after Selena locked her in a room as punishment for a small mistake, Marilla knew that she could not stay any longer. She packed a small bag, grabbing only what she needed, a bit of food and the golden crown that had been her mother's gift. She had kept the crown hidden for so long, unsure of its true purpose. But now she felt that it might be the key to her future. She slipped quietly out of the palace, running into the night. The sound of her footsteps echoed in the empty halls, but she didn't look back. The world outside the palace was different, and Marilla was determined to find her own way. The next morning, when King Alden discovered that Marilla was gone, he was heartbroken. He searched the palace, calling her name, but she was nowhere to be found. The king's heart ached as he realized that his daughter had run away, and he feared for her safety. Selena, however, did not share the king's worry. Instead, she saw an opportunity to claim more power for herself. "You must find her, my king, but if she has truly run away, we may never see her again," she said, her voice calm and cold. "Perhaps it's for the best. We can start over." The people of the kingdom soon learned that Marilla was missing. The news spread quickly, and many of them feared that the young princess had been lost forever. Some wondered if the royal family would ever recover from the loss of their heir. Without Marilla, would the kingdom remain stable? Would the royal bloodline survive? The kingdom was in chaos. People whispered that without a true heir, the throne might be claimed by another family. The future of the kingdom seemed uncertain, and the people's faith in the royal family began to fade. Marilla, now far from the palace, traveled through villages and towns she had never seen before. She walked alone, but each day she grew stronger. As she journeyed, she learned that the world outside the palace was very different from what she had known. She saw how hard the common people worked to survive, and how kind they were, even though they had little. One day, she helped a poor family whose farm was in danger of being flooded by a storm. Marilla worked with them to build a dam, using the knowledge she had gained from her parents. The family was grateful, and they offered her food and shelter for the night. "You are kind, miss," the father said. "A true leader would care for the people like you do." Marilla smiled, feeling a warmth in her chest. She realized that leadership wasn't about wearing a crown or sitting on a throne. It was about caring for others, about using one's strength to help those in need. She knew now that her true power came from kindness and wisdom, not from the crown that she carried. As Marilla continued her journey, she met a young man named Rowan. He was tall and strong, with dark hair and sharp eyes that seemed to see through her. Rowan was kind and loyal, and he told Marilla that he had once worked for the king. He had heard rumors of Queen Selena's cruelty and was worried about what was happening in the kingdom. "I believe the kingdom is falling apart," Rowan said. "The people are losing faith in the royal family, and it's only a matter of time before someone else tries to claim the throne. You must return and set things right, Marilla. The kingdom needs you." At first, Marilla wasn't sure what to do. She had run away to escape the cruelty of the palace, but now she realized that her place was not in hiding. It was with her people. She had the power to make things right. "I will return," Marilla said, with a sense of purpose, "and I will bring justice to the kingdom." Marilla and Rowan made a plan. They would sneak back into the palace and gather evidence of Selena's lies and manipulations. They knew that exposing the queen's cruelty would be the first step in restoring peace to the kingdom. Marilla entered the palace, disguised as a commoner, her face hidden under a cloak. She moved quietly through the halls, careful not to be seen. She knew that the queen would not hesitate to have her locked away again, so she was cautious. As she moved through the palace, she saw the signs of Selena's growing power. The palace was colder, and the people who once adored the royal family now seemed distant. Marilla knew that her time to act was growing short. At a grand royal gathering, Marilla finally revealed her true identity to the king and queen. She stepped forward, holding the golden crown that had once belonged to her mother. The crowd gasped as she stood before them, her eyes filled with determination. "This crown," Marilla said, "is the symbol of the true heir to the throne, and I am that heir." King Alden, shocked and ashamed, stepped forward. "My daughter," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "I have failed you. I should have seen the truth, but I let my second wife control me. I am so sorry." Queen Selena, her face pale with fear, tried to deny it, but the evidence was undeniable. The people of the kingdom knew now that Marilla was their rightful queen. With Rowan by her side, Marilla took her place on the throne. She was crowned as the new queen, her heart full of love for her people and the future she would help create. With the crown upon her head, Marilla stood tall and proud before the gathered nobles and the people of the kingdom. The palace, which had once been a place of tension and fear under Selena's rule, now seemed to shine with hope. Marilla's heart swelled as she realized that this was the moment she had been waiting for. The moment that would change everything for the better. The people cheered, their voices rising in a chorus of joy as they welcomed their rightful queen. Marilla could feel the warmth of their love, the trust they had in her, and it filled her with determination. This was not just about wearing a crown. It was about serving the people and protecting the kingdom she loved so much. King Alden, though saddened by his mistakes, stepped forward and knelt before Marilla, offering his full support. "I was blind, my daughter," the king said, his voice full of regret. "I let myself be deceived. You have shown me the true meaning of leadership. I pledge myself to you now, as your father and as your loyal subject." Tears filled Marilla's eyes as she reached out to help him up. "You were always my father," she said softly, embracing him. "Now, let's work together to heal our kingdom." As the new queen, Marilla wasted no time. She immediately set to work restoring the kingdom to its former peace and prosperity. The first task was to remove the influence of Queen Selina, whose cruelty had poisoned the court. Marilla made sure to carefully remove her from power, ensuring that no harm would come to the queen. She was not the type to seek revenge, but rather to bring about justice. Rowan, who had stood by her side from the moment she escaped the palace, became her most trusted advisor. He helped her craft a plan to restore the trust of the people, and together they worked to repair the broken relationships caused by Selina's manipulation. Under Marilla's wise rule, the kingdom began to flourish once again. The people, who had once feared their future, now looked forward to a brighter tomorrow. Villages that had once been poor were now thriving, with new crops and flourishing trade. The land, once shadowed by fear and uncertainty, now blossomed with hope. The days turned into months, and Marilla's rule became more secure with each passing day. Her leadership was based on kindness and fairness, and she made sure that the needs of her people were always met. Under her rule, the kingdom became a place of peace and prosperity. People no longer feared the royal family. Instead, they admired Marilla's wisdom and the way she treated everyone equally. Marilla did not sit idle on her throne. She traveled across the kingdom, visiting villages and towns, speaking with the people directly. She listened to their concerns and worked to improve their lives. Wherever she went, she was greeted with warmth, and the people grew to love her even more. One of her most important reforms was the creation of a council that included people from all walks of life. The council was made up of wise advisors, commoners, and nobles. This ensured that the voices of all the kingdom's people were heard, and their needs were addressed. Rowan, who had stood by her side since her escape, became more than just an advisor. He was her confidant, a trusted friend who understood her vision for the kingdom. They worked together tirelessly, forging a strong partnership that helped build the kingdom into a thriving and just place. King Alden, now fully supportive of his daughter's rule, helped her maintain peace in the royal court. He continued to guide her, offering advice based on his many years of experience. He had learned to trust his daughter completely, and the two worked side by side, ensuring that the kingdom remained strong. With every passing day, the people's love for their queen grew. They saw in her the embodiment of all that was good and just. Her rule brought peace, not through force, but through compassion and understanding. Marilla's life was not only about ruling. She found joy in the simple moments with her family, in the laughter of the children she had always dreamed of having. With Rowan's support, she soon found herself in love, and together they married in a beautiful ceremony that the entire kingdom celebrated. As queen, Marilla's heart swelled with pride, not just for her achievements, but for the future she was building. She and Rowan were deeply in love, and their union symbolized the new era of the kingdom. The two of them, united in heart and purpose, worked together to ensure that their children would grow up in a world of kindness, fairness, and love. In the years that followed, Marilla gave birth to children of her own. The joy she had once longed for filled her home. She cherished every moment with them, teaching them the same values her mother had taught her. She hoped they would grow up to be wise and kind, ready to one day take their place in the world. The kingdom prospered under her reign, and the people flourished. Marilla, now known as the Queen of Peace, had fulfilled her destiny. She had become the leader her people needed, and the kingdom had transformed into a place where everyone had the opportunity to live a happy and fulfilling life. The people of the kingdom knew they were safe, loved, and protected. They had the queen they had always needed, someone who ruled with a kind heart and a wise mind. Marilla had fulfilled the dream she had once held so dearly, a dream not only of becoming queen, but of making her kingdom a better place for all. Years passed, and Marilla's reign became a golden age for the kingdom. Her leadership brought prosperity, peace, and happiness to everyone. Under her rule, no one was left behind. The poorest families had food and shelter, and the streets were filled with laughter and music. People no longer lived in fear, but in the freedom to pursue their dreams. Marilla and Rowan raised their children, teaching them the importance of kindness and compassion. The kingdom was secure in the hands of the royal family, and the people knew that their future was bright. As Marilla grew older, she often reflected on her journey. From a young girl who had once felt abandoned and unloved, she had become a queen beloved by all. She had risen above her challenges, becoming the ruler she had always dreamed of being. She had learned that true leadership came not from a crown, but from a deep love for her people and a desire to make the world a better place. One evening, as she sat in the garden where she had spent so many hours as a child, Marilla looked out at the kingdom she had built. The sun was setting, casting a golden light over the land. Her heart was full of peace, knowing that the kingdom was in good hands, and that the future was as bright as the sun that was setting over the hills. Her life had been a journey of hardship and triumph, but in the end, it was love that had guided her. Love for her people, for her family, and for the kingdom that she had sworn to protect. And as the stars began to twinkle in the sky, Marilla knew that her story would live on for generations to come.